front of me here about 12 different whole grains. And just like with fruits and vegetables, it's important to get a variety of different grains in your diet because all of these grains have different kinds and qualities of protein. They have different nutrients. And so the more types of grains that you can consume, the better it is for your diet. We tend to eat a lot of wheat and corn and maybe rice, but there are a lot of other grains out there to be explored. Now, the problem with that is in terms of bread making, we can't just select any grain at random and make bread out of it. We couldn't make 100% millet bread or 100% buckwheat bread. So we need to make a distinction between the different types of grains, and it has to do with what we talked about in our last lesson, which was that wheat has a specific type of protein that enables it to make the structure, the elasticity that we're used to when we have sandwich bread. It's what makes the dough able to rise and make that particular texture that we like. So I have named these in my terms what I call base grains or base flours, because all of these grains can be milled or ground into flour. Base grains, base flours, and blending grains or blending flours. And the three base grains, these are grains that you can use at 100% to make yeast bread, or you could blend any of these other flours in them, but you need to have at least 70 to 75% of your flour be from one of these base grains. Now the grains are wheat, kamut, and spelt. And if you've never heard of kamut or spelt, they are said to be the ancient relatives of our modern day wheat. And kamut and spelt can be used interchangeably in any recipe that calls for wheat. But we're going to start for beginner bread making. We want to focus on wheat because that's more familiar to most people. Kamut and spelt are more expensive and they're a little bit harder to find. So we're going to stick with wheat, and we need to make a distinction further with wheat because it comes in two different main types. Now, actually, there are all types of varieties of wheat. As I mentioned earlier, just as there are different types and varieties of apples, Granny Smith and Braeburn and Jonathan, you probably have your favorite variety. There are lots of varieties of wheat as well, but we're going to focus in on the two main types of wheat, which are hard wheat and soft wheat. Now there's a lot of confusion with those two, but basically it boils down to this. You can use hard wheat for anything, and I don't have a sample of soft wheat because they look almost identical, but you can use hard wheat for anything that you want, including yeast bread making. You can use soft wheat for anything you want except for yeast bread making. Now you can add soft wheat as a blending flour, but you need to have most of the flour content needs to be the hard wheat. And that's because, again, it contains more gluten. Hard, or the hardness or softness, refers to the amount of protein or gluten that's in the grain. So we're going to focus on using hard wheat. And then in the hard wheat category, there are two main types that are readily available for you to purchase, and they are red hard wheat and white hard wheat. And I'll talk a little bit more about those as we're milling flour and getting into the grinding of the flour. But either one of those two types are fine. There's slight flavor and texture differences, but you can choose either one of those as long as it says hard wheat. That's what you're looking for. If you're just getting started, you will probably want to buy a small amount of wheat or flour. If you're going to grind your own flour, this is what 5 pounds of wheat berries looks like. You can buy this in a health food store, a bulk food store. Some of the larger grocery stores now even have a health food section, so you might be able to find that there as well. Another source for buying wheat would be to find some friends who are ordering together as part of a food buying co-op. There are several out there. UNFI is one company that offers that. Dutch Valley Foods is another. And if you don't know of anyone who is operating a food co-op in your area, you can oftentimes call those numbers. You can do a Google search or go directly to those companies online and call and ask them if there is a drop-off point in your area. So those are some ways to get started. The most economical way is to buy a larger bag, and even if you have to split that among 2 or 3 friends, it's cheaper by the larger bag. But if you're just getting started and you want to just try it for the first time, then I recommend you go to the store where you can find wheat berries and buy maybe 2 pounds, 3 pounds, 5 pounds, probably at the most. Now let me put that in perspective for you. 1 pound of wheat berries makes 1 loaf of bread. So that gives you an idea how much this will last you. So this will make about 5 loaves of bread. 5 pounds of wheat makes 5 pounds of flour, and that would make 5 loaves of bread. Now, if you also want to do other things with your wheat, like making pancakes or muffins, then you will use about 1/2 pound to 3/4 of a pound of wheat berries or fresh flour for a standard recipe that would feed maybe 4 to 6 people. So if you're going to use it for those other things, you want to add a little extra. But if you're not ready to grind your own flour, I understand it may take you a little longer to wrap your head around that. It seems like a very old-fashioned idea, but you would just buy the same amount of flour. So 5 pounds of flour, again, would make 5 loaves of bread. Now let me show you what a 50-pound bag of wheat looks like. This is how I buy my wheat, and this is Prairie Gold. This is the type that I prefer. It's made by a company called Wheat Montana, and Prairie Gold is their name for hard white wheat. They make another variety that's called Bronze Chief, and that is hard red wheat. And the difference between white wheat and red wheat is really just a preference for you, a personal preference. The red wheat is a little bit darker colored than the white wheat. It also has a little bit more nutty flavor, a more robust flavor to it. And some people really prefer that. The white wheat is what I like. And if you have people in your family who are reluctant to change maybe from white bread or half and half whole wheat, half white bread, to 100% whole grain, then I recommend you start with white wheat because it does have a little bit milder flavor, and it also bakes up in your bread just a little bit lighter and fluffier than the red wheat does. So you can try either or both of those. Some people like to mix them, and you can do it that way as well. And you can buy it either in the whole berry form, or you can buy this already ground into flour, either way. Now this 50-pound bag, of course, will make me 50 loaves of bread, and at the rate that I make bread, I will go through this about every 2 to 3 months. And after I buy this at the store, I'll show you how I store it. This is a 6-gallon bucket, and this is what I use to pour my wheat into a bucket like this when I get it home. That just makes sure that no bugs get into it. It's a moisture barrier. It's a little more airtight. It's not completely airtight. But then after I get my 6-gallon bucket, I also have a specialized lid. Now the standard lid that might come with a bucket or a pail like this requires a special tool to remove it, and it's a little bit tricky to get on and off. Not too bad if you have the tool, but this is called a Gamma Seal lid. And the Gamma Seal lid is a 2-part lid, and it has a ring that attaches to this bucket already, and then that has a thread on it which allows you to spin the top on and off. So if you're going to be getting into your bucket of wheat or flour fairly frequently, this is the one that you would keep nearby in your pantry or your kitchen where you're going to be pulling flour or wheat from it frequently. then that's a good solution for that. Otherwise, for long-term storage, that's not a long-term storage solution. If you wanted to keep wheat for many years, you're going to have to do some different things to it. But for short-term storage, just make sure that you have a place to store it that's not too humid, that can keep bugs out of it. If all that you have are Ziploc bags, that would work well. Just some freezer type heavyweight bags. You can get about 5 to 6 pounds easily into a gallon size Ziploc bag. You could also put them into jars, mason jars, canning jars, something like that, or Rubbermaid makes some nice big canisters that you could store it in as well.